Alright guys, I guess that's time to go over the newest blog post for the upcoming major update. This is going to be Diablo Immortal's first major update here. Forgotten Nightmares. The first major update for Diablo Immortal. Before we begin to unfold all that's coming in this milestone, we want to thank you for the many hours you have spent saving Sanctuary for demonic threats and for your continued support. Blah blah blah. It's going to be released on the 28th. After maintenance has concluded, all items below will be live. Specific dates for any content going live afterwards are provided below. Look at this handsome guy. Look at this handsome guy in this thumbnail. I know who that is. You guys know Leviathan, right? Let's watch this here.
Hey Diablo Immortal players, we're glad you're here as we take you through some of the details of our next major update. I'm Joe Grubb, lead game designer on Diablo Immortal.
And I'm Steven Stewart, associate game designer.
First, we wanted to recap our commitment to deliver fresh content to you. You can anticipate seeing content updates such as Battle Pass seasons, in-game events, feature updates, and more. For this major update, in addition to new gameplay, features, and in-game events, I'm excited to introduce the Silent Monastery, our first new dungeon. Relive the history of the Zakram Crusades with a new story quest to guide you, where you'll part the mists of Mountains of Ain to cleanse an ancient temple before its darkness consumes the land. Speaking of darkness, the dungeon introduces a new mechanic around light and dark. You'll need to ignite the temple statues to have a chance against the nightmare hordes. And finally, what's a
good twist on a dungeon?
A terrifying new end boss.
New mechanics.
Toe to toe with the soul of the ancient nightmare itself in a multi-stage and environment-changing battle. Are you ready? To get geared up for the formidable challenges ahead, I'll pass it over to Steven to share the latest news on items.
Of new legendary items for all classes. And we've enjoyed seeing how players have theory crafted these items into highly effective builds, bolstering their day-to-day combat, Helliquary raids, and dungeon runs. However, for this update, we are incredibly excited to shake things up even further by introducing an entirely new set. There are currently 8 sets in the game that have seen wide use by all players, assuming different roles within their parties, and further modifying their preferred playstyle. We believe this new set will only further add to the excitement of hunting upgrades and uncovering new ways to play Immortal.
Time to farm.
Our new set is called New Guide's Prize and focuses primarily on skills that we classify as dashes, essentially your movement skills. When you commit to this set, these movement skills amplify your entrances.
So there was question because there were leaks on the set and the set had said dash skills and people were confused about what dash skills entails. It doesn't mean just like the monk dash. It does mean like every movement skill that there is for every class basically. I think that you can actually see this also if you go to your skills. This is the classification they're talking about. The classification, these skills actually have these like damage, control, channel. These are tags that are on the skills here, and you can see which ones will specifically have. Anything that has this dash tag here should count for this.
Battle in both powerful and unique ways, sowing chaos and destruction with every moment of combat. That's the latest on items. Joe, what's next for warbands?
This major update also lets...
So I know people really don't like warbands, right? I mean, some people just really despise warbands. I'm giving it a chance. I'm giving it a chance. I was one of those people that was always against warbands from the beginning, but I think I am giving it a chance. I hear that I know that they're doing some pretty good stuff with it now, so we'll go over that.
Lets you expand your new warband castle with a new exploration system, where you'll work through 16 rooms of monsters to find valuable heirlooms to buff your warband against the demons of the Helliquary. Running explorations through the rooms can be done with 2 to 8 members, and if you reach the final room, additional rewards can be gathered from...
So right away, 2 to 8 members, he said. So warband, these warband activities here, instead of requiring the full 8 members, now only 2. to 8 now. You can start doing it with as low as 2 people. So that's a huge quality of life change for warbands. That's one of the biggest gripes I had of warbands, is trying to get 8 people online at one time for the activities, for the Heliquary raids, and now it's only 2.
Boss battle.
That's gonna make it much
Wraps
easier.
it up. Thanks for joining us for this quick update. We'll see you all in Westmarch.
So let's go into the details. So this is in Mount Zevane, obviously, a silent monastery dungeon. It has to do with the monks and the Ancient Nightmare. This is the big guy, right? This is the big guy in the zone event. Ancient Nightmare. But he looks much smaller in the dungeon. This is the new mechanic they were talking about. The temple statues can be illuminated. Make haste in lighting these statues. The only thing that can weaken the nightmarish dungeon demons lurking in the shadows. As you light additional statues and get rid of the dungeon of monsters, the darkness will be cast out of that area for good. Okay, seems pretty interesting. I mean, I'm not really like a big fan of the dungeons not really at all. I mean, I don't really like running a lot of dungeons in DI. It gets very monotonous, and if I'm doing outer world farming, I'm essentially killing the same monsters again and again, sometimes just running in a circle, killing monsters. But for me, I mean, I don't know what it is for me, but I can do that for hours and hours and hours just fine, because there's no downtime and there's no resetting. There's no going back out of the dungeon and then queuing up for the dungeon again and then going back in and all that stuff just adds to, I guess, like some kind of like exhaustion that I have with doing dungeons. So we'll see if this new dungeon is, if it has a lot of that downtime, if you're just constantly just like waiting for things, or listening to dialogue, watching cutscenes. We'll see what happens with this new dungeon. Going toe-to-toe with the Ancient Nightmare in its lair would be no easy task. If you can survive an unrelenting flurry of empowered shadow blasts and ghastly spike attacks, a lion's share of rewards will be granted to commemorate your feat. So is this new dungeon just going to drop the 6 new pieces for the set? Because it's just different from like all the other sets being kind of scattered around. So I'm not sure how that's going to be handled. Castle Sirengar. Okay, so this is the Warband castle. Now, some people said, some people are very against the Warband activities, thought that it should just basically be deleted. I was more along the lines of like making it bigger. I actually wanted it to be a clan feature, because as a clan leader, I want to play with people. I want to play with a lot of different people, and I don't want to play with just the same 8 people or the same 7 others. I don't want just a warband with 7 others that I want to play with. I want to, they said there's a castle that you can, I don't know if this is like kind of like a Sims thing or a hideout thing, where you like, you actually have like a castle you can just walk around and you can kind of hang out in. It's like a hangout spot kind of thing. I don't know if it's like that. I think it would be so cool to have like an entire clan hanging out there. For me, it's the more the merrier. I really would prefer this to be like a clan castle, not a warband castle. In the outskirts of Westmarch lies an ancient fortress rife with unspeakable horrors to extinguish, mysterious secrets to uncover, and if you're successful, a new place for your warband to call home. Okay, so it is like a hideout. Castle is Cyrangar. This warband exploration experience will replace warband camps. Okay, so instead of going to the camp to hang out, which, I mean, let's be real, no one actually went to the camp to hang out. People don't hang out in warband camps. I don't know if anyone is in a warband where they're like, oh, they just like AFK there or something. Like, I don't think that's the case, right? I guess there was very little reason to go to a warband camp. You only go to a warband camp if you're going to go borrow a new item or donate a warband chest. I think with these new activities that might give more reason for people to be in the warband hideout, so that might fix some of that problem. Replayable game modes along with passive bonuses that can be upgraded as you secure and defend your castle. So more activity, 2 game modes. It sounds like they have their own rewards associated with it for character progression. So that's great. That is great. Before moving forward into the specifics of Castle Cyrangar, we want to introduce large-scale improvements to how warbands will function. This is the big one for me. they were trying to make warbands better by just giving them like more rewards as kind of like an incentive for people to play it more and do it more before actually improving the quality of life, improving the core problems of the warbands. So that's what I want them to actually address, the problems people have with warbands, not just try to make it rewarding in order to incentivize people to do it. A big part of this patch features new game modes, unique rewards, and more progression systems focused on warbands. Additionally, we want to remove all the major pain points players have expressed about warbands. Yeah, that's great. The requirement to slay monsters with your warband to establish the camp has been removed. Okay, that was like 1,000 monster kills or something like that, wasn't it? We have lowered the threshold for warband helicarrier raids from 8 to 4 people. Warband helicarrier raids now don't require a full 8, you can do it with 4. To be honest with you, a lot of these helicarrier raids could probably be done with 4 people pretty easily, as long as they're of the appropriate combat rating. So yeah, that's a good change. If there are at least 4 members in the raid from the same warband, the warband can be filled by anyone else. Oh, that's great. So you can just pug the other 4. Oh, that's amazing. I thought that we were just going to go in with like the 4 warband members that we have, but we can actually just fill the other 4 spots. That's great. Completing the raid this way will still yield extra warband rewards for the warband members. Successfully completing a warband helicarrier raid for the first time will now grant warband members an additional 400% drop rate increase for sealed warband chests. The bonus resets every 7 days. Okay, I mean, honestly, the warband like donate and borrow system, I'm really just not a fan of it. Like, it might help like some like newbies or something that are just missing the gear, but for me, I never really wanted to depend on borrowing an item. Maybe it was because like the warband was never really a solid cast of where you just stay in one warband of 8. Since, you know, a lot of times people are getting kicked out of warbands to throw someone else in there just to get a different person in so they can do their warband raids. So it was kind of like a lot of people were being shifted around in different warbands. So trying to rely on like a warband item was really bad because all of a sudden you're just not going to have it. So it helps at first maybe, but it's not something that I want to keep borrowing. It's definitely something like if I'm borrowing an item that I need, I definitely want to go and try to find my own piece of it so I don't have to rely on it anymore. I just never really liked the donate and borrow system. To begin the quest to bring Castle Sirengar under your warband's banner, you must be at least level 20. Be part of a warband and speak to Vastus in Westmarch's Rakis Plaza. Contains 3 main areas of emphasis for players to engage with: Purging the Depths warband rooms and Defense of Cyrangar. Purge the Depths. Upon arriving, your warband will realize that there are still some unwanted occupants taking up residence in the castle's bowers. You must purge them from your new home. As you crush, incinerate, and eviscerate your way through the rooms of undead threats, you'll come across restless spirits that are bound to rot here for all eternity. It's up to you to set them free by first defeating them, severing the connection within their tormented vessel, then cleansing their remnants. Each of the remnants provides unique bonuses that are applied to your character. You can traverse the randomized dark underbelly of Castle Cyrangar alone or with up to 7 other warband members as many times as desired. Okay, so this one doesn't even require anyone. You can go to the basement here. Okay, so why are we going to the basement? These bonuses are actually the same bonuses, the roles that we have in warbands already, right? Oh, they nerfed this one. It's not as good. It's not 50% faster anymore. This one was amazing before. This one was 50% faster res, and now it's 15. Damage 3.5. I think these are all kind of nerfed, right? Room buffs are active during all types of activities. All types of activities? They're always active? Are they always active? Either say that these buffs are always active for every activity, or say what activities they are active for. You need to make things clear, crystal clear here. What is anyone else reading this differently? Like this could be read different ways, right? Room buffs are active during all types of activities is not the same thing as room buffs are active during all activities. Or maybe I'm just reading into it too much. Maybe it is just all activities. But if this is active everywhere, dude, this would be broken though if it's active everywhere. Like 3.5% damage reduction, like in PvP, that's insane. Critical hits and increased attack speed of nearby allies by 2.5. Like if this shit is active in battlegrounds, it's gonna be so OP. I could see there being a lot of contention, like a lot of people fighting over these buffs too if they do activate there. Or maybe it's just all Warband activities. I don't know. The description needs to be more clear. Once you clear the cast of unwanted guests, additional rooms will become available for you and your Warband members to occupy. Each room has its own variety of unique bonuses that it provides to the occupant. Who occupies which room is up to your Warband leader. They can assign and unassign players at will. A player is still able to unassign themselves from a Warband room at any time. Players will receive the benefit of their room for as long as they occupy it, but cannot occupy more than one room at a time. Okay, so we have our own rooms. Are we going to be able to like freaking decorate our rooms? Is this going to be like, you know, our own, like a mini Sims game or something? Warband rooms can be upgraded by placing remnants received from purging the depths of Castle Sirengar. Doing so will provide that respective room with additional bonuses. It doesn't look like you can do like two of the same. Everyone gets one, right? There are two of the same type of buff. One is a higher tier. Oh no, this one is okay, yeah, you're right. There are two survivors here. This one's survivor also, but this is damage reduction. And then this is survivor movement speed 1.2. This is survivor movement speed 5. Yeah, it seems like maybe you do have more flexibility of this. Okay. Whereas before, like only one person could have like one row. Each row had only one person and there was 8 different rows. Now that your Warband has renovated Castle Cyrangar and settled in, word has gone back to the armies of the Burning Hells who want the stronghold for themselves. They're coming in full force, so you need to work in unison with your Warband to hold back the inferno tide of demonic destruction headed straight for your castle's front gate. Defense of Cyrangar offers 2 modes. Standard mode can be played once a week. In this mode, players must withstand 8 waves of bloodthirsty demons. If your Warband successfully stays off the Hellspawn, you'll receive rewards and experience for holding the line firm. Okay, once a week mode. And then endless mode can be played at any time. In this mode, Warbands will receive a score based on how many heavy-hitting waves of demons they can survive. This mode has an accompanying leaderboard so you can see how your Warband stacks up to others. Additionally, the top Warbands will receive the Sirengar Defense Portrait Frame for their tenacity. Okay, so a leaderboard, I guess there was like a leaderboard for the Heliquary raids too, which I don't think anyone really cares about. This one, I think I have a feeling no one's really going to care about this leaderboard also. And it just gives you a portrait frame, which isn't all that exciting, but it's probably good that it's not too like crazy. Like I don't want another situation here where we have the challenge riff leaderboard, and the challenge riff leaderboard is very pay to win. Essentially, the group leaderboards give you enigmatic crystals, which are very hard to come by and very valuable. And basically, only the biggest whales can really get on that leaderboard, or you gotta piggyback on a whale and have them carry you along. So I definitely would just want to avoid that kind of situation. I'd rather just have this be more like no one cares about the leaderboard kind of thing here, and it doesn't really affect anything. We don't know what kind of like combat rating is going to be required here and that kind of thing, right? Like that's the annoying thing too, is like I really hate how combat rating works in the game. Every time there's a new Heliquary boss added to the game, the combat rating is always way far above free-to-play players like reach, right? Only whales can do it, and then the whales have to carry the free-to-play players, and then the free-to-play players are just sitting there getting one shot and doing nothing in the raid, and just there on the ground in order to get their score here and get their Heliquary raid completed for the week. It's not a very fun experience when you're relying on whales and the free-to-play players are doing nothing and getting carried. I really don't like how the combat rating system is working. I mean, I don't like the combat rating systems in other games in general, but they just, for Immortal, it just seems to be done very poorly because every time they release content, the combat rating is just too far ahead of free-to-play players. If they would make it so free-to-play players could actually reach it, then we wouldn't be suffering through it as much, and it wouldn't be like so much of like relying on whales to carry you. So I don't know. We'll have to see how the combat rating requirements are for this, because there's no mention of combat rating or requirements here, other than just being level 20. It's like, am I gonna need to get the biggest whale in our warband to carry me through this? Or am I gonna actually be able to play it and contribute? Ancestral weapons. Purging the depths of Castle Cyrangar and defending it from assault yield valuable rewards. So this is like the wave defense thing, okay? While participating in these game modes, you'll have a chance to find ancestral weapons. To harness the power of these weapons, place them into your ancestral tableau, located in the heart of Castle Cyrangar. Once placed, ancestral weapons will confer a portion of their attributes such as strength, int, vitality onto all members of your warband. I'm a wizard though. What? So wizards are gonna wizards and necros have to avoid strength, and then the other 4 classes have to avoid int. Each warband member can only place one ancestral weapon into the tableau, so work together with your fellow warband members to assemble the best ancestral weapons you can find to power up all warband members. The action of placing items into your ancestral tableau and providing a portion of their attributes to all members of your warband does not require anyone else but yourself to be online. In addition to the bonus attributes, you can also call upon special powers from the warband's ancestral weapons while donning invocation gear. Invocation gear can be equipped to your character in its respective item slot to receive the benefit and trigger the ability of your ancestral weapon. Mix and match your invocation gear with the ancestral weapon of your choice to further customize your build. Your ancestral weapon might have the property deal damage to surrounding enemies, and your invocation has a chance to trigger your ancestral property when you deal damage. Okay, so they have to work in conjunction here. So you have a chance to deal lightning damage to surrounding enemies when you deal damage. The 4 ancestral weapons with the highest bonus attribute determine the max bonus of your ancestral blessing. So it's all these stats here. And if someone's putting like a strength main stat item into the ancestral tableau, it's not doing anything for me. But I guess it's giving me combat rating, right? Strength would still giving me 1 combat rating. It does nothing but give me the combat rating, whereas int gives me damage. So I mean, I guess it's whatever. It's not that big of a deal, but it's kind of stupid. Like if you're optimizing this, you don't want people to throw in the wrong main stat items for you. I mean, it's cool. It's another progression system in the game, and it's going to give us a little more combat rating. Maybe this can fix some of our like free-to-play players not having as much combat rating for activities. I mean, I doubt it's going to give that much. I think that a lot of people will still struggle. Free-to-play players are struggling having enough combat rating for H5 coming up here to Paragon 240. Usually they have to get carried by whales, you know, that have more combat rating in order to start getting H5 gear so that they can wear it at 240 and then catch up in combat rating. But it's just like, again, it's this vicious cycle of just depending on whales to carry you. It just feels really bad. It feels very bad when free-to-play players are like, oh, please help me. I'm poor. I think that the changes to the warband stuff is good. I welcome the new activities, even though there are warband activities, and I would rather them be clan activities. And I do like the fact that they are making it so you no longer require 8 warband members present at one time. So those are great changes. Whales will leave if everything is too easy. Whales are already having it too easy. The game becomes trivial with the pay to win, like the PvE activities in specifically, right? Once someone starts swiping like that, swiping a lot, it trivializes a lot of the content. Like whales are in H5 farming H5 gear weeks and weeks and weeks like in advance. Some of the whales actually were farming H5 gear as soon as people got into H4. Like and put on like H4 gear. Like they're already ready for the next hell difficulty. It's already happening. It's already a thing. Yeah. Where's our 7k plus combat rating with farmed H5 gear equipped right now? Yeah, that's the struggle with the combat rating system in this game is that you either have free-to-play players that are mad struggling to get into content, into the new hell difficulties and the Heliquary raids that are being released. And then you have wares that have it pretty trivialized because combat rating is such a major factor. And combat rating is provided through pay to win. It makes it kind of hard to have a balance of any kind of difficulty. You can't really balance things based off a combat rating when you can buy it, right? Like, it's just, first of all, things are way too easy for whales, and second of all, things are too hard for free-to-play players right now with the combat rating. Does it say if you keep all the resonance in this Warband raid or like fractured plane all equal footing? It doesn't mention like what the combat rating is going to work, how the combat rating is going to work, or the resonance is going to work in these activities. If it's normalized, it would be nice, yeah. I think even if you do normalize like reso and combat rating, you still have your other gear that you're putting on that isn't normalized. You still have like, you're still building your character. You still have parts of aspects of your character you're building that matter, even if you normalize reso and combat rating. You still have the legendary essences that you picked. You still have the skills that you picked. You still have the attributes that you went for, the magic attributes you went for. The gems you socketed, that kind of thing, I think is still great character customization, and normalizing would make it so that we don't run into a situation where the whale is carrying free-to-play players and the free-to-play players are getting one shot and can't do anything but lay on the floor, right? I want to play with my friends and I want to contribute with my friends. I want my friends to be able to contribute and I want us to play together, not this like, I'm on the floor, finish this for me and do this for me, right? That's the difference here. So like, yeah, I think normalizing reso and combat rating for some of these activities would make it better for the group play. For example, like if you go into an Outer Rift with whales and free-to-play players, I think that Outer Rift is more normalized. I don't think it even matters what your combat rating is, but everyone basically gets to play. Whereas you go into a challenge rift and all of a sudden your combat rating is too high and the people that don't have the combat rating aren't contributing. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess. We'll see what happens with the new activities. How is it going to work? Am I going to be able to do stuff, or am I going to be relying on the people that spent more money than me? The new battle pass. So has anything changed really with the battle pass? 40 ranks of challenges and rewards. Seems like this is the same. 2 paid versions. Empowered, Collector's Empowered, that's the same. Empowered gives you the weapon cosmetic and the armor cosmetic at rank 40. And the Collector's gives you the avatar frame and the portal cosmetic and the 10 rank boost. It seems all the same to me. New Heliquary raid boss. Izalesh? The Misshapen. Make note of his massive bow, pinpoint accuracy, and pennant for flaming arrows. For those fearless enough to close the gap, you'll be met by massive hooves designed to flatten even the sturdiest adventurers. Records also mention a bone prison. Unfortunately, there seems to be no explanation of what happens to those who linger in it for too long. Pretty sure it's going to be death. Oh, here we go, the combat rating. Okay, so this one, combat rating. You guys ready? Are you guys ready? Who's ready for this? 6,175. I just got done talking about how they will keep giving these new Heliquary raid bosses way too much combat rating requirement, to the point where free-to-play players or even people that are just like lightly spending money in the game cannot obtain it. And here we go, 6,175. I think I'm sitting at like 4,500 or something. When we get to 240 here, Paragon, and put on H5 gear, I'll get a boost, of course. But I'm still probably going to be lacking. So when this raid boss comes in, I am going to be asking the people that spent money in the game to carry me. And I'm going to get one shot and lay on the floor while they finish the activity, while they finish the raid boss. Fun game. Fun game. Should you be scared? Damn, God, man, I'm just not scared enough. I'm not scared enough. Sorry, I'm not scared enough for this raid boss. Oh man. I mean, I don't think they intended on they didn't intend to say what they're saying here, but it's just I'm reading this as I'm not skilled enough because I didn't swipe. That's what I'm reading here. Oh no. Equipping this item to the top slot of the helicoil will provide you an additional 30 combat rating and a 10% move speed boost on inside challenge rifts. Okay, so the mist surrounding the silent monastery and castle Cyrangar must have faded, but now you find yourself lost, scouring the darkness for a path forward. This is just like another, this is an event with like the pretty basic objective stuff, right? Okay, so I'm not really expecting much from this scouring the darkness limited time event. Hungry Moon also one of those pretty, not really very unique events where you just kind of complete objectives. Players can complete up to 3 tasks a day. Through completing tasks, you gain Astrolabe. Astrolabe, right? It's the Astro Loop. Oh no. Draw a Blessing of Magic will give you a bonus to Magic Find. Magic Find. Handy for increasing your chances of receiving rare, magic, legendary, or set items. Wait, this says set items. Wait, is this a confirmation here? Is this a confirmation here that it indeed does affect set items? They updated the tooltip in game. I think they updated this tooltip used to be different actually, and it didn't include legendary, and now it does include legendary, right? And so we were thinking, okay, this doesn't affect set items, but now this is saying this is including set items. So I think this is a confirmation that it does affect set items. But the thing is that a lot of people don't really know exactly how much Magic Find helps. It's really hard to tell. A lot of people think that Magic Find is pretty useless. It is kind of a pay-to-win system too. I mean, you get it on legendary gems at rank 5, and the higher the legendary, 2 out of 5 gems have more Magic Find than 2-star gems and 1-star gems. So, like, it very much is a pay-to-win system. Once you've racked up a handful of moon slivers by purging demonic hordes from dungeons, visit the Hermit's collection located within the Hungry Moon event page to trade your moon slivers for lunar-laced rewards of your choice. So it's not the random roulette anymore. I think this is coming from some feedback that they got that the random thing was kind of, you know, a lot of people didn't get what they want with the randomized thing. So now you can actually pick. You go to the vendor and then you buy what you want. Okay, so slight changes to the Hungry Moon event. All right, cosmetic, crowned ones. Ah, okay. Luxury. All right. Is this the wizard one right here? The wizard one actually looks pretty. Yeah. Did they update the bug fix post here? So this was an update. Most notable for me was this fix on the Phantom Ray. It's not bugged anymore. This is probably referring to they hotfixed it so negative orb balance people can't queue up for BGs. This we also noticed on coincidence when our rain changed on the first day. Usually on the first day after a rain change, the chests in the vault don't give you the hilts and gold for the first day. So opening them is basically screwing yourself because you get 4 chest rewards per week. So you're limited on, it just takes that limit away and you get nothing. So that was a good change. That's a good change. For the PC client, nothing. Okay. New legendary gems. Okay, here we go. 3 new legendary gems have been added. For 3 weeks after release, players will have the option to enable a modified drop table for their legendary crest when running Elder Rifts. With the modified drop table enabled, anytime a 5-star gem drops, it has a 50% chance to be the new Frozen Heart 5-star gem. So that's probably a good idea. That's a very good idea. This is a way to introduce new gems, new 5-star gems, and kind of get them a catch-up mechanic for them for people that want to upgrade the new one. So there's a 1-star, 2-star, and a 5-star gem. It's good variety. Increases the duration of beneficial effects on you by 12% and increases your movement speed by 8% for 3 seconds after gaining a beneficial effect. Wow. I really like beneficial effect duration. I do. I use Vith use quite often, so 4-piece Vith use usually. 30% from 2-piece Vith use, plus I have 10% on my gear for 40% total. We just got done testing the Vengeance family bonus, and we found out that beneficial effect duration does affect that 1 second Vengeance buff that gives you double damage. So like I was getting like 1.4 seconds of double damage from Vengeance with 40% beneficial effect duration. I mean, that's very nice. Then I would very much consider this with the Vith use that I'm using. As a wizard, you activate Vith use pretty easily with, Lightning Nova, teleport with certain legendaries. 2-star gem. Your attacks have a 15% chance to curse enemies, reducing their attack and movement speeds by 35% for 8 seconds. Curse enemies also take 10% increased damage from your attacks. Cannot curse the same target more than once every 20 seconds. Usually against bosses, they'll probably be immune to it, so you won't even get the 10% extra damage. In PvP, it could be somewhat useful, but it's going to have the 2/3 reduction. The cursed enemy takes 10% from your attacks. It's not a supportive debuff where you can give other people more damage. It's kind of meh. I'm not really sure how the attack and movement speed reduction stacks with chill. But if it adds together like that and doesn't get overridden, then that's pretty good. 5-star Frozen Heart. Here we go. Frozen Heart was in the beta test. We were wondering when it was going to come back, when it was going to get put into release. When you take damage, activate a Frigid Shield for 6 seconds that chills enemy attackers and absorbs damage equal to free 60% of your base damage plus 1458. Frigid Shield also grants your attacks a 60% chance to chill enemies. Cannot gain Frigid Shield more than once every 20 seconds. Usually when they say chill and they don't actually give you a percent chance, I think it's like 40% usually. So 40% chill, I'm gonna assume. So any attack can proc a 40% chill during the 6 seconds it's active. Free 60% of your base damage plus 1458 in shielding. What is Phoenix Ashes giving right now? Phoenix Ashes here says 450%. We know Phoenix Ashes gets reduced, and usually like people that do PvP of Phoenix Ashes would notice that like the shielding is pretty small in PvP. It's got the 2/3 reduction. It's kind of underwhelming. This is 450% chance, 450% shielding of your base damage, and this one is 360 plus 1458. It's probably going to be pretty small, just like Phoenix Ashes then. Problem is it's going to be really small, just like Phoenix Ashes. And if you only get this chill, I don't know if this chill lasts the entire duration or does it fall off after you lose your shield. So let's say like it's a small shield and you basically, it gets evaporated like right away because it's small. And then all of a sudden you no longer have your Frigid Shield and your attacks, you no longer get the 60% chance to chill enemies with your attacks. I mean, is this basically like a small baby version of ice armor? It is every 20 seconds, which, Phoenix Ashes has that huge 180 second cooldown on it. So the 20 seconds makes it, it actually makes this is actually better than Phoenix Ashes just because it procs every 20 seconds and not every 180 seconds. So it is slightly better than Phoenix Ashes. Every 20 seconds, wow. I mean, that's pretty much every engagement in PvP. It will activate quite often. It's got 30% uptime. Yeah, it's the 6 out of every 20. And then I'm assuming you can also increase the 6 seconds here. You can increase it with beneficial effect duration. But it's not as much, it's not the duration that I'm worried about. It's the amount of shielding that you get is going to be broken very quickly in PvP because it's 2/3 less in PvP. New set item, Gloom Guide's Pride. This is centered around the dash skills to amplify your damage while terrifying enemies in the process. Oh, here we go. To accommodate the addition of Silent Monastery and provide players with more variety in their hunt for specific sets, we have shuffled the drop locations of all our sets. Okay. So we're going to have to, if you're using like any kind of like guides or assets that you've been using to search up the drop location of items, don't worry, you're going to need new ones. They're going to be shuffling things around. One of my biggest complaints about set item drop locations is it's very hard to see where these items drop in game. The only way I've been able to see where things drop is if you already have a piece of that gear of that set. You can come here and you can see where the rest of the pieces drop from this menu here. I don't know of any other location that gives you drop locations in the game. Like, I haven't seen it. You know, it would be nice to be able to actually look this stuff up in an easier way, and maybe even like look it up by dungeon also. Maybe from like the dungeon UI entrance, you can click on something to see what items drop in that dungeon. Like, that would be nice too. Like, there's just like so much quality of life that can be added here with where these sets drop. And now, after people have started to maybe memorize or have these guides that they're looking at that give them the drop locations just so they can look it up, now they're shuffling it. Good news, everyone. Alright, 2-piece. Increase your damage done by 15% for 3 seconds after using a dash skill. Pretty standard for a 2-piece, 15% damage. A 4-piece increases your crit chance by 22.5 for 3 seconds after using a dash skill. That's a lot of crit. 6-piece unleashes a wave of terror when you dash. Skill ends, dealing X damage and causing nearby enemies to fear for 3 seconds. Alright, yeah, this is exactly what we needed, is more CC, especially for PvP. Sarcasm there. The Wave of Terror will only trigger when enemies are nearby, but cannot occur more than once every 40 seconds. So what comes to mind for me is obviously Battle Mage builds. Battle Mage builds are always teleporting on the enemies. You can now Battle Mage builds will be able to teleport right on you and fear you for 3 seconds. Usually you're using the orbiting bars with the knockback shoulders in order to kind of like get those changed CCs off, but now you can also do this fear once every 40 seconds. I wonder how much extra damage this is going to do. Like, these 6-piece bonuses do so much fudging damage. So much fudging damage, these 6-piece bonuses. And they aren't reduced. Set pieces are not reduced in PvP by that 2/3 reduction that other things are reduced by in PvP. So we're seeing like 6-piece Monteback and 6-piece Grace procs basically one-shotting people, especially if you're a whale. They're just like doing like 60k damage or something and just like one-shotting people. So this is probably just going to be another easy way for someone to teleport onto you or use their dash skill on top of you and just one-shot you in PvP. I'm going to call it now. You guys are going to get one shot by this in PvP. I'm going to call it now. A whale's going to do it to you. You're going to be dead before you even see them. Legendary and rare crest improvements. Players can now trade 1600 platinum for 1 legendary crest. This can be done once a week. Okay, so this is the same as like the Warband exclusive legendary crest. I assume this is going to be in addition to that. So this is now another 4 extra legendary crests per month. Granted, it is not free, but 1600 platinum for legendary crest is good value, and you should do it if you can get the platinum. So, I mean, it's a step in the right direction for free-to-play players, for low-spending players. It's a step in the right direction. You can trade 200 platinum for a rare crest. This can be done up to 3 times a week. Is that worth doing? We're gonna have to do the math on that to see if that's even worth doing. I don't know if that's worth doing. So, I think people have done the math on like a legendary crest. Isn't it like average 3 gem power on average or something like this per legendary crest? So 1600 platinum for like 3 gem power is good value usually. I mean, you would have to check your market, but I'm not really sure like how much gem power rare crest gives on average. Because it's based off of like the runes and then the 5% chance to get 1 star gem. They're going to be at the crest merchant. Alright. We want to provide players with additional ways to use platinum while also providing more ways for players to earn legendary crests in game. For rare crests, we receive feedback that players do not always have a worthwhile use for small amounts of eternal orbs. This change gives players an outlet to spend small amounts of leftover orbs on, as 1 eternal orb can be traded for 10 platinum. Oh wow. This is pretty big for Immortals. We are improving the Immortals Defend the Vault experience by using a queuing system like how Shadows raid the Vault. Players will now also be able to use the Find Party feature to be matched into 4-player groups. It's pretty good, pretty good. If you guys didn't know, Immortals have had to either sit at the entrance and spam click their mouse. As soon as an alarm goes off, you can enter a raid. You get the accept button, and you have to spam it to click, be the first one to click it. And there might be other people sitting at the entrance doing the same, and it's just like a click fest to see who can click it faster. Or what a lot of people have been doing is organizing these vault lines, like physical lines, their characters physically lining up in game in order to at the entrance and taking turns to go in. So that required more organization. But yeah, now having this is hopefully fixes those issues. Corvus Expedition variants. Oh, okay, so they're gonna have some different stuff here in the Corvus Expedition. Yeah, it was kind of boring activity. It was like this weird like group building activity stuff that you do in there. Evolving the Corvus Expedition so each run feels unique is our goal for this feature. We not only want players to go on runs often, but to feel a sense of challenge and variety as they do. This is the first of multiple improvements coming for Ruins of Corvus. Okay, good. Here is Journey additional chapters, 2 additional chapters. I still haven't even finished mine, but there's going to be 2 more chapters here, okay. And a portal cosmetic, nice. We're adding over 20 new entries to the Horagic Bestiary to make gathering monsters essence more rewarding. What? I mean, I guess if you think these entries are rewards, do people actually consider these entries to be rewards? I mean, maybe. I mean, it's kind of like a collection kind of thing, like maybe people that are into those kind of achievements or the lore, they like to read. They like to read. They like to see the lore of these monsters in there and stuff. The market adjustments. The time frame in which players can buy any items you have up for sale has been reduced from 12 hours to 3 hours. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah. It didn't make sense you had to wait 12 hours for the item to come up for sale. 3 hours is much more. Yeah, I like this. I usually do play the market a bit, so I like this. The time frame in which players can resell items they recently purchased has been reduced from 7 to 2 days. Another good change. Another good change for people that are using the market, maybe playing the market a bit, maybe very low spending or free-to-play players that are trying to get some platinum, extra platinum in order to, upgrade their gems, buy gem food, and get 5-star gems that they need and such. Yeah, this is good. The funny thing is, like, one of the worst things about using the market in DI is the fact that you have to wait. I think it's 12 hours you have to wait to collect your sale. After it's sold, in order to collect your platinum, I believe it's like a 12-hour wait. I don't know why they didn't reduce that. That should be reduced. Or that should be gone. They should just get rid of that restriction. So, I mean, maybe they could have included that here. Eternal Orbs bundle update. You get 5 more orbs for this bundle and then 20 more orbs for this bundle. Oh, it's because it was short to actually buy 2 legendary crests from this and short to buy 4 for this. Okay. Cool. So what am I excited for? I'm excited for the new modes. Even though they are Warband activities, I am excited for the new modes. They also give new character progression systems. We have to see how pay to win those new modes are. Are we going to require to piggyback on whales in order to get it done? Are we all going to be able to contribute? Is it going to be normalized? What are the requirements? Those are the questions I have right now. How powerful is this character progression system? Stuff like that. We have to find out. The new legendary gems are welcome, of course. New raid boss, of course, way too high of a combat rating requirement, so I'm not looking forward to laying on the floor for that fight. The question I have is this going to kind of like change the way we use warbands? Is this going to kind of solidify our roster for our warband? Is it going to be like no longer like, are we no longer going to be like moving members around and replacing members? I think that, well, the reason why we were replacing members is because we required 8 and we couldn't always get all 8 people to be online at once. Maybe we do have a solid warband now. And now, with this new character progression system, you really don't want to be jumping around on warbands or kicking people out of your warband because they're going to be losing these new character progression stuff. If that just goes poof, if you get kicked out of a warband, then you really don't want to kick people out. I still think that this should be a clan activity. Yeah, that's not. It's not really what their. I don't think that's what their vision for warbands is. Yeah. It's just. I still, even with this update, I'm like, man, this would be better as a clan activity.